Let's go ahead and get ready for this coffee break. And I'm hoping that everyone can hear me just fine. So I want to talk about, a little bit about a fixed and a growth mindset and something that I believe is a big problem today. And it's our students and how they are in our schools. We have a lot of students that are always trying to get that A, and they believe that the A defines them. And that simply isn't true, and it simply is causing some of our students to struggle and not want to grow. They're incapable of growing because they're stuck in this constant state of trying to attain that A. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Now, I want to go back until to my spelling bee years, and I was in fourth grade. I was feeling pretty good about myself, and I was that A student. But I was afraid to fail. I was afraid that what was going to happen if I failed. And I'll never forget. And some of you may have already heard this story. I'm there. I'm standing on stage, and I've been asked a question or the word petroleum. And so I start to spell this word, and it's feeling good. I'm feeling pretty good about myself, and I start the word, and it's Petrol. And in my head, I'm stuck, and I'm like IUM, IUM. And finally, I decide to throw out IUM. I instantly could tell by looking at all the teachers, looking at the other spelling bee contestants that I was wrong. And that was one of those moments that stuck in my head. I just didn't know what to think about myself. And I was afraid to even try the spelling bee again because I was so attached to what it made me look like, what other people were going to think about me, how I was perceived by other students, teachers, even parents, right? And this is the danger of this ABCDF philosophy. And here's what concerns me about it. We have a student, they get an A, and we are praising them. You have done a great thing. It's marvelous that you got an A. So they start to believe that the only thing that's going to make us happy is them constantly receiving these A's. So what happens in that scenario? Now they're afraid to go out and take chances. Now they're afraid to go out and go for that B or go for that C by taking on something that's a little more difficult. And I'm going to give you a journey that I'm on right now. I am attempting to learn French. And in this journey, I often feel pretty dumb. I feel dumb, and I feel like, man, I'm just never going to get this. And so as I'm saying these words, and then I'm attempting to learn these sentences, and I have this fear of actually talking to somebody in French because I don't want to sound like a total idiot, right? But being able to go in there and not worry about what they think about me is going to make these things easier. And over time, those constant mistakes and constant feedback of learning and growth and not being so concerned about what they're going to think about me is going to help me actually learn the language. It's going to help me become a better person overall, right? And Carol Dweck kind of describes these two things. We got a fixed mindset and we got a growth mindset. And in that fixed mindset, we believe we are either talented or we're not. And what do I mean by that? In a fixed mindset, we believe that we are born with the innate ability to perform these tasks at a high level. And so any task that we're not capable of performing, we automatically push that off to the side, and it's determined that it's not for us because we're never going to be good at it, right? And those individuals that aren't good at the talents that we are good at are just not as good as us, right? They're not on our level in that particular task. Now, when we start talking about a growth mindset, it's a little bit different, okay? In a growth mindset, we say, well, okay, I don't know how to speak French today, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through those challenges and work through the struggles of figuring out how to learn this language. And at the end of the day, what's going to happen is at some point, there's going to be a breakthrough. At some point, I'm going to be like, I got it. I have figured it out. I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to become good at this. Now, had I been stuck in this fixed mindset, I would have never been able to work through that. I would have never been able to make that thing happen. And what happens, going back to the education realm, is that those A students over time are constantly stuck in those abilities that they already have. And when they get into the workforce, or when they come into a scenario where they're just not good at it, or they just don't understand it, they hold themselves back. What kind of world is this where we are holding ourselves back because we're not good at something? We're not going to naturally be good at everything. I'm not going to all of a sudden start speaking French one day because I thought, hey, that'd be a great thing to learn, right? It's just not going to happen. Now, I've been an engineer my whole life. And, carrying this over into the engineering world and carrying this over into the real estate world, which is what many of you are viewing this for, in the world of engineering, we constantly make mistakes. And we're constantly seeking feedback. For instance, if I'm building a pair of sunglasses, right, and I build out these sunglasses, I'm going to take them to the customers and see what they do like, what they don't like, and I'm going to make those changes based on that feedback. Some people are going to think these sunglasses suck, right? These sunglasses suck. They're not for me. They need to be changed. I'm going to throw these things in the trash. If we took that as the end all be all, we would never get any better. But what happens if we take those particular sunglasses and they say, I want a little better tint, or they're not quite fitting me right here, and we make those changes? Now, all of a sudden, we're given a product that they want, a product that they're excited about, and we've made it better. We're doing the same thing internally when we're constantly pushing the growth mindset. We find something we want to do, we grow. Now, I'm going to take this into the world of real estate, right? In the very beginning, when I purchased my first few houses, I was in this mindset that I already knew how to do this and I was pretty good at it. I didn't really need to learn anything, right? I was already at the top of the mind for going out. I was doing pretty well purchasing these things, never going to have any issues. The problem was when my system started breaking down, right? When my system started breaking down, I could have folded right then. I could have said, this is just not for me. And had I done that, had I said, this is just not for me, I wouldn't have had the life changes that I have today. And that's important. So what's the takeaway of this? Here's what I am proposing. Our C students and our A students and our B students, I want it to be okay when they have a failure. I want us to tell them that it's okay. I want us to make sure that they understand it's okay to take those challenges, to learn new things, to try new things, to have failures. Let's not always compliment those A's and make them feel like they have to get the A's. Let's compliment the B's. Let's compliment the C's. Let's let them know that they have taken time to go in, they've worked through the hard things, and they have progressed towards something substantial and become good at it. And at the end of the day, let's all learn French. I hope you all have a great day.